All right guys, so today I'm going to show you how to wrap a rear bumper on a Model Y Tesla by yourself. So the first thing you want to do is give it a really good soapy water and then use what we call clay bar. So it just comes like this. It's just like a piece of clay. Basically you want to get it really wet with soapy water and just do like a back and forth motion, and this will get any contaminants off the paint. So first thing you do, give it a good soapy water, and you want to clean kind of the areas around that you're wrapping, because if the vehicle is really dirty, you can suck in that dirt when you're wrapping. So we're gonna give it a good soapy water, good clay bar, and then I'll show you the ISO. Okay, so I got myself a microfiber towel and some isopropyl alcohol. So this is 70% alcohol. So this is basically used to degrease the surface and get it really clean before wrapping. It's very imperative that all the cracks in the surface is very clean, because if you have any grease and you wrap it, there's a good chance it's gonna fail. First thing I'm gonna do is get the rag really wet. Then I'll spray some on the bumper itself. And so first I'm going to start with the main surface, anything I can reach by hand. Okay, so now that I've cleaned the main surface, I'm going to take what is called a tuck tool. So you can get these from Avery Dennison. There's also lots of things you can get on Amazon if you want to get a cheap one. So basically I'm going to take my rag, which is soaked in the ISO, and then I want to wrap it around this tuck tool. And then in all these cracks, I want to give it a good scrub. So I want to make sure that there's no grease or dirt in here. So this is probably one of the most important parts when it comes to wrapping, because if you have dirt in these cracks or grease, it's not going to stay. So I want to make sure these are nice and clean. Okay, so this next part, this is what is called knifeless tape. So basically this is 2 parts of tape sandwiched in between is a piece of string. And what you can do with this is cut the vinyl without cutting the car. So because this is a darker colored car that I'm wrapping black, I'm gonna end my wrap basically in this little groove here. So I wanna lay my razor wire down here nice. And then once we wrap it, we'll use that to cut the vinyl. So when you start the razor wire, you want to leave yourself at least a 3 to 4 inch lead on either end. I'll show you why later on. Okay, so now that I've cleaned it properly, I've razor wired the inside of the trunk there. The next step before I start wrapping is to use a tack cloth. So what this is basically what the name entails. It's like a sticky cloth. So basically when you wipe this over the surface, if there's any dust on top, this will grab it and keep it. So I want to give the surface a quick wipe with this before I go. Just make sure there's no dust left on this bumper. Okay, so now that I tack clothed it, one piece of advice I would say is wipe your hand with ISO, because it leaves kind of a residue on your fingers, and if you start wrapping, you'll get that residue all over the wrap. And it's just more work later on. So once you got your hands clean, this is my piece for the bumper. And so basically when you cut your piece out, you're gonna find the highest point here, lowest point here, and you want about an extra 2 inches both ways. And then you find the longest point here on either side, measure that, and go 2 inches past both sides. So once you've got your piece cut, basically all I'm gonna do, since I'm doing this myself, is I'm going to peel the first edge here completely like that, and then I'm going to take it over to the one side. And so I just want to eyeball, make sure the material is about a couple inches above, 2 inches over, and I'm just going to tack it on one side, and then I'm going to grab the backer paper underneath and I'm just going to roll it out. Just like that. Take your backer paper, fold it up. I just like to throw this under the car, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so now I've got the vinyl draped along the bumper. I just want to kind of tack it in a couple spots. So I'll start in the middle here a little bit. And then I want to pull this up. Then I might just tack it kind of right on this corner a little bit, like so. And then, so if you're doing a bumper by yourself, it's obviously a lot of stretch, and ideally you would have another person to kind of pull this way while you pull that way. But if you get yourself just a broomstick, you can do it by yourself. So I'm gonna take the first end here, and then I'm just gonna wrap the edge of the vinyl around this stick. Just like that. Make sure it's down really good because you don't want this to pop off. So I've got my stick set up on the end here, nice and secure. And then now essentially I'm gonna crank my heat gun up, and I'm gonna try to evenly heat this. If you watch, you can see those lines in the material. As I go, they'll start to disappear. So you just wanna get this nice and warm. Just keep heating evenly, and you don't wanna be too close to it because you can burn out the material pretty easily. So I just kind of go back and forth. Watch those lines disappear. Okay, and then once I've heated it, I'm gonna grab the bottom here with my right hand, and basically I'm gonna pull this way with my left and hug down on the bottom with my right. So as you see, the bumper will take shape. And then so I did 2 pulls down there, and I'm gonna do 1 big pull up here. And basically that side is more or less set now. So I'll just tack up here, tack on the bottom, and then we'll get the stick out and then do the exact same thing on the other side. All right, so I've set both sides, and then now I'm gonna basically start squeegeeing it. So I've got a couple little wrinkles here, so what I can do is basically just pick that up, hit it with some heat, and then those should just go away. So because I've stretched the vinyl this way quite a bit, if I have a bit of slack here, and I heat it, it'll just kind of shrink out. So now that I've got it down pretty glassy, I'm just gonna start squeegeeing. So I'm gonna start in the middle here, lock in that body line, and then I'm just gonna squeegee down to the plastic, like so, and then take it up from this body line, all the way across, and then squeegee down. And then again, tuck into the plastic. Like that. Okay, so now that I've got this squeegeed from basically this body line down, I'm gonna take care of this part. So there's a slight recess in here. So first thing I'm gonna do is put on a wrap glove. And I'll just heat this up a little bit, like so. And then I wanna take my free hand, go under here and just apply a little bit of tension that way. And then I'm gonna take the palm of my hand, find the lowest point, and just push through. Just like that. And then now we'll just get the rest of the air out of there. And then before I squeegee up to this corner, I just want to hook that corner. So I'll show you what that means. So I've only squeegeed up to about here. So I'm going to get my finger right in behind this corner so I can tell where the corner is. I'm gonna pick that up. You wanna pick that up at least a few inches back. Then we're gonna heat that up. And then we'll take our other finger, right in behind that finger, and we're gonna hook around the corner like that. And so basically what's that done is pre-stretch the corner. So when I lift it up, I can basically heat and hug around that corner afterwards. Okay, so now that I've got the whole outside of the bumper squeegeed and down, I'll show you guys how to work it into this trunk area. So first thing I want to do is kind of look inside here and see how much material I need from that point in. So it looks like I got about an inch or so, so I'm just going to cut about 2 inches extra here. And then in here, it basically goes from about that distance and then spreads out. So I'm going to take this around here, and then I'm going to come out like that. And then same thing on the other side, like that. So now at this point, I basically want to try to work it in at this corner here first, and then we'll do the rest of it. So I'm going to take my heat gun, and I'm going to grab it with my free hand, give it a little bit of heat, and then basically with my free hand, I want to be pushing the material down while I use my other hand to tuck it. So I'll show you how that goes. So I'll give a little bit of heat. Now I'm pushing down with my left hand and tucking it into this corner here. Okay, so I've got this corner in, so now I'm gonna get this down. So let's just heat this up. And I'm gonna grab this top corner and I wanna pull this in like that. And then lock that in. And then I'll just finish the rest of this off, tuck it into my razor wire. And as I get close to the razor wire, I can always cut off a little extra material, make it a bit easier on yourself. Just be careful not to cut the car, obviously. Okay, so I've tucked the vinyl up into that razor wire, and so you want to make sure there's no air around the razor wire, because if you do have air and you pull the razor wire, you'll get kind of a choppy cut. So make sure it's down really good, and then I'll show you guys how to pull the razor wire. So because I've left that extra few inches, that's going to allow me to get this started. So basically I'm going to take it up to the edge of the vinyl here, and I'm going to pinch it like that, and then just one quick move, you want to pull, and then you see the string has basically separated itself from the tape. And so now I'm just gonna pull this, and I wanna follow the direction of the razor wire, because if I don't follow that track, I'll get a shitty cut. So we just keep going along, nice and smooth. And you can see it's cutting the vinyl like that. And then I come to the end and then I'll just pull it off. And then so now we're gonna peel the offcut out like that. And then this next part is very important because you can see this tape is still here. And so now the tape has been split into two by the string. So if you can see that, so come here. So I wanna make sure that this piece that is underneath the wrap still comes out. So we're gonna peel that out and you can see it's coming out from underneath. Make sure you do not leave that in there. So we peel that off and then we're just gonna go in and push the vinyl down like so. And that's it. So now that I've got that all done, I'm gonna go and deal with this corner. So because I've stretched it a lot that way and then I've kind of stretched it that way, I should be able to just shrink this corner down. So as you see, like that. So the goal is I'm not trying to pull the vinyl, I'm basically just holding it and shrinking it. And then here, so I'll just pick this up. You see the wrinkles go away. And then this corner as well, just like that. So I'm gonna push all that down. And then if you come here, so on this car, basically, I just need to get it to this line here, and that's where I'll cut. So if you get it all smooth down there, then you're good. So now that I've got that, take my knife. Always make sure you have a really sharp blade. And then we're just gonna cut along this line here. So we'll just end it there for now, and then I'll show you guys how to make this cut. So for this one, I basically just got it bridged over top of here, and the idea is that I want to run my knife along the edge of the quarter panel. And so this cut is very important, you don't want to mess this up. So I'm going to insert my blade at the corner here, and I want to be following this upper edge, but I want to have my blade angled like that. So I'll start in here. Okay, so I've made that cut. Now I want to come back to this corner and I'm going to hold the excess up and I want to try and shrink that down. See, like that? So because I've hooked that corner in the start, it's pre-stretched the film so that when I've got it around this corner, I can just heat it up and it should kind of shrink around the shape. So now that we've done that, we can tuck this in. And then so as you see here, it's kind of getting stuck on this part. So what I want to do is take my tuck tool. And basically I'm just going to kind of try to hold this bumper off a little bit. And I'm just going to go in here and tuck this excess vinyl in here. Okay, so now I've cut and tucked that edge. I'm gonna tuck and cut this edge. So I'm gonna peel it off a little bit. And then basically I just wanna tuck it into that plastic. So I'm just gonna take my squeegee, Chisel it in there. So once I've got it tucked in there nice, I can make my cut. So again, I basically want to be following the edge of the plastic with my blade angled out that way slightly. And then peel it off. And then I'll just heat up this corner a little bit, get that down. And then we'll just tuck that edge underneath the plastic like that. Okay, so I've got this edge and this edge done, so now I'm gonna show you the bottom edge. So if you come around here, first thing I wanna do is get rid of some of this excess. So again, be careful, don't cut the car. So I got that free. And then I'm gonna start down here. I'm gonna tuck all this in. Like so. And then here I'll just pick this up, tuck that in. So like that, you can see it's all in there nice and even. And then once I'm happy with that tuck, I can make the cut. So again, same thing, I'll be resting my blade on the plastic side, and I want it at a slight angle. All right, so now that I've cut and tucked everything, gone over all the edges, make sure it's all down, the final step is to post heat. So basically what you'll need is a temperature gun. This is just an IR reader. So you see it's got a little laser. So basically the Color change film, you need to heat up to at least 180 degrees Fahrenheit. I always like to go a little bit more. But here, so because this is a matte film, you don't want to get it too hot, because what can happen is that the matte sheen can kind of turn glossy if you overheat it. So I'm just gonna go, you know, maybe about 4 bars on this thing. And so all the areas that I want to post heat are areas that I've stretched. So all in here I'm gonna post heat, and the perimeter. So I want to post heat all this. I'm gonna post heat along here, here, along the bottom, basically the whole perimeter. So I'll show you how that's done. So I'll start up here. And so basically when you're post heating, you want to have your gun about 3 inches away, and you want to point the laser about 1 inch before your heat gun. So as we start, so if you can read the thing here. So basically I just want to keep heating that up until I get about 200. So that's pretty good there. And I'm just going to continue that pace all the way around the perimeter. Okay, so I finished post heating the whole perimeter, and so the whole point of post heating is that when you stretch the material, if you heat it up, it wants to come back. So what post heating does is it essentially recasts the film, so it's almost like you're giving the film a new shape. So if you don't post heat something that you stretched, it's likely gonna pull back on you. So when you see a wrap that all the recesses are puffed out and some of the corners are starting to recede back, it's because they either overstretched or they didn't post heat properly. So that's why we need to post heat. So after I post heated, there's just one last thing I want to do, and that's check for bubbles. So I'm going to put on a wrap glove, put my heat gun on, and I'm just going to wave over the wrap. And any air that is under there is going to expand by the heat, and you'll see it immediately. So any bubbles that you get, you want to just kind of rub them out with your hand, and then you're good to go. See, I got one right here. Just push that out. And so as you're doing this, I'm checking for bubbles, and I also want to check all my edges are down, make sure everything's nice and tight. And then once you're done that, you can just give the panel a wipe with soapy water, and then you're done.